So Scott Galloway was on Diary of a CEO, and he was talking mentors and mentees, and he had some great advice on this topic.
Do you want to have a conversation? Do you want to have another drink? Do you want to grab coffee? Do you want to go to the movies? Can I ask you a question? Can I get some advice from you? You ease into the relationship
Yeah.
because to ask someone to be your mentor is just very intimidating. The person has to go, do I want to meet with this person every month for the next 5 years and then break up with them? If I'm not enjoying this relationship. So you don't need to say, will you be my mentor? That sounds like a lot. Just, can I get your advice on something? I really respect you. I think you're so smart about this stuff. I'm facing some issues in my life, some questions. I'd love to just get your advice. Can we grab coffee or can we do a 5 or 10 minute call? If someone emails me and says, I get a lot. I'm thinking about starting a business. I'm thinking about going to business school. Can I get some time? I try to say yes. And I say, I can do a 15-minute Zoom call with you. If someone asks me to be their mentor, there's just no way. I don't have time to, I can barely mentor me right now. I just don't have time to commit to being someone's mentor. But if someone emails me and says, I need advice around this specific issue, and then what happens? You hear that they're either raised by a single mother like me. They're a good person. They're struggling. Their sister's got an eating disorder and they're struggling with it. And they're thinking about starting a business. And you're like, oh, no, no, don't do that right now. You've got a good job. Like you just help them with some common sense decisions, common sense. And then what happens? You become emotionally invested in their success. And then they email you a month later and you're like, what's going on? And you want to do another call. Ease into it. So, anyways, I think it's much easier to just ask someone for help and for advice. And I think there's a lot of people out there.
There's so many things there that Scott Galloway said that have absolute 100% accuracy. And not the least of which is never ask for a favor, always ask for advice. If you are seeking out a mentor and you want to actually be a part of their life and you want to gain that most valuable thing that they possess and you don't, which is wisdom, ask for advice. Don't ask them, can I ask you a favor? Will you go to lunch with me? I'll tell you right now, as someone who finds himself being old enough to be a mentor, the worst thing that you as a young person can come up to me and ask is, hey, you want to go to lunch or can I take you to lunch to pick your brain for a little while? That just sounds awful to me. However, if you approach me and say, hey, I need some advice. Can you help me? First of all, there seems to be this burden of responsibility that I automatically take on. I really do. If someone is asking for advice, that tells me that they're in some kind of a quandary, they're trying to figure something out that's obviously really important to them. And of all the people that they could have chosen, they chose me to help them work through whatever this issue might be. And I'm not alone in that. I'm not unique in that. So always ask for advice. Take it slow. Don't be pushy and make yourself someone that you present yourself as though this is a job interview. I think one of the things that a lot of young people these days, and maybe this has been the way it was forever, I don't know. But I think one of the things that a lot of young people lose sight of is making themselves be someone that would be worthy of being chosen. I mean, look, if you're asking for someone to be your mentor, or you've seen someone that you think you might want to be your mentor, then essentially what you're asking for is the single most valuable thing that that person has that's non-renewable, that can't be replaced. It's their time. And you got to understand something. The higher you go up on the socioeconomic ladder and the higher you shoot for a mentor, the more of a premium is placed on that time, not just by people that actually exchange currency for that time, but the individual themselves. I recently, and this is going to sound, I don't want this to be about me, but I'm just telling you how I view time at this stage of my life. Someone came to me and asked me to do a project for them. And I knew the type of project it was, and I knew that I would not be of value to them. They had no idea what kind of rate or is in the form of, in this case, of a retainer fee that I charged. But I told them I'm not the right person for it. And the reason why is it wasn't a hard gig. It was an easy gig. It would have been a fun gig. But the bottom line is my time is far more valuable to me than money. I would rather give it away for free if I think that it's going to really make a difference and I can find greater value in seeing a young person succeed than some consulting gig. Does that make sense? So whenever you're approaching a potential mentor, make sure you realize that you're asking them for something so incredibly valuable, which is their time. And a lot of them, the reason why they have become so successful is because they have managed their time so very well. The next thing I would say is if you're able to land your mentor, if you're able to somehow find yourself in their circle, then be a worthy protege. Do things that would make your mentor proud and then let them know about it. Don't let the only communication between you and the mentor be asking them advice, asking them questions, asking them if they can make an introduction to some company you want to go work for. Share the successes with them and also make them understand they had something to do with the success that you've now seen. That means more than anything in the mentor-mentee relationship. I think that mentorships are one of the single most valuable thing that anyone can do for themselves because what it does is it gives you that thing that you can't really put a price tag on, which is wisdom. And sometimes I've learned the older I get that there's only a few, there's some things that you can only learn and only appreciate by being on this earth a certain number of years. And a good mentor is going to help you short circuit a lot of pain, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of poor decision making. It doesn't mean that you're going to completely hedge yourself in such a way that there's no way you're ever going to make a bad move, but at least you have the opportunity to go to someone who's been there before, who's done the things that you want to do, that has suffered and can tell you, hey, you're about to do the exact same thing I did. A great example. I've got a young person right now that I've started to kind of mentor, and they've had one job right out of undergrad. Now they've started their second one, and they're already bored, ready to move on to their third. They sound like a young Jason Wright. That is exactly the way I was, and I'm sitting here watching it. And so what I'm trying to do is tell them, first of all, get over the fact that you're bored or whatever. You're 24 years old. You're still a baby. You're still so young. There are people that are still in undergrad that are your age. Chill out and stop looking at right now being the first day of your entire career because it's just not. Most of you listening, if you're a young person out there and you're in this situation, I'm just here to tell you right now, I'm not your mentor, but I'm going to give you a little bit of free mentoring right now. If you're looking for another gig because you're bored or something like that, chill out and relax, learn some skills. That's what you're in the game for right now. You're there to network, to meet people, to make relationships, to possibly find a mentor, and to gain some skills that you can market in exchange for money. That's what you're trying to do. So don't let boredom or shiny objects pull you away from something. So that's what I'm trying to tell this guy, because I did that. I suffered from that. And what I did is I spent 6 years in corporate America just basically not developing any real good tangible skills. It wasn't until I got out of corporate America and became an entrepreneur and dug in, and I couldn't leave. I was stuck because I owned the business. I couldn't just, and I tried. I was in it for like a year and I was ready to get out, and I couldn't because I owned the company, and you can't just escape a company that you own that quickly without some serious ramifications. So in this quest to find a mentor, one, go do it. It's absolutely one of the single most important things that you can ever do. But two, make sure you constantly remind yourself that in the economy of mentor and mentee, you're the one getting the greatest benefit because you're getting their most valuable non-renewable resource, which is their time, for absolutely nothing. Nurture the relationship and be a mentee that any mentor would be proud of. I'm Jason, and I'm out.